Hello, welcome to Moviemusters. Flip Mode review of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Season 3, Episode 2. Is Raq ever going to be allowed to leave? We seem to be asking ourselves that question throughout the entire season because, if there's one thing we've learned from Power Book 3, Raising Kanan Season 3, Episode 2, it's that she's not quite out yet. And she will always be involved in the game as long as she has foes. I enjoy a short time jump, and because Power Book 3, Raising Kanan Season 3 Episode 1 begins immediately following the events of the previous finale, I think a 2-week jump will help things settle in and give us a clear picture of the character's current state of development. I know there was a lot of discussion regarding Raq and Unique's continued relationship following the premiere, but for now, it just seems like two grown-ups having a good time. True, Raq and Unique have a history of rivalry, but their actions have nothing to do with commerce. Nobody is attempting to deceive the other or into their heart with the intention of stabbing them in the back. Neither of them can learn anything from the other, not in this particular case. Though I doubt we've ever seen Ra appear quite as content as she did when she was enjoying some ice cream with Unique. We have seen her have her domestic moments with Symphony in the past. The two have such a strong chemistry and tension that truly shows when they have time to themselves. However, even if I've come to the conclusion that Raq and Unique aren't dating right now, I can't help but have a skewed opinion of Unique due to his connection to Pernessa. It's clear that he's attempting to have his cake and eat it, which will ultimately bite him in the rear. It does each and every time. However, once Raq and Unique were abducted by Stefano's men, Raq received an ultimatum requiring her to perform his dirty deed. It's amusing to watch Raq announce that she's gay and anticipate minimal opposition. Joaquin was lucky to be on the other side of Juliana. However, Stefano didn't waste any time in telling her that if she didn't support him, he would have no problem assisting someone else take her out for no reason at all. Raq, so you're too rattled to take care of yourself and your goobers and you want me to kill Sal for that. Stefano, you also wish for his death. Here, we're on the same team, because he appears to be primarily concerned with keeping the attention off himself, and with business, Stefano makes for an interesting antagonist. He is calculating and intelligent. Furthermore, he wanted to get Baselli out of the way before he had a chance to do further harm. Raq is willing to work hard when necessary, but a job like killing a crime boss is not one for her. Would require both sides' knowledge and plan. It's amazing that Marvin is now Raq's go-to person, especially because he stands in between Lulu and Raq. So far in the series, Marvin's growth path has been the most significant of all the characters. Attending those anger management seminars was possibly one of the best things he's ever done, even if he had to be forced to do it since he learned a lot from them. He's a much more composed man now, and he takes much more deliberate action. Most importantly, he makes an effort. He listens to others, considers what they are saying, and doesn't leap blindly into something horrible that he can never get out of. He doesn't take sides with Lulu. Instead, he lets him experience what he's experiencing for Raq. In an attempt to numb his hurt over his sister's breakup, the collapse of his company, the end of his personal relationship, and his general contempt for his present circumstances, Lulu is adamant about indulging in excessive alcohol use. Would Marvin be able to take on greater responsibility? Yes, but even with Lulu's rigidity, there's a lot he can do at this moment. Marvin has needed someone else to watch out for him because his brother hasn't been there to support him with anything pertaining to Raq, and Demo has been that someone. In all actuality, the plan to kill Baselli should never have been carried out. Although Marvin's escape after being so close to pull the trigger seemed very unbelievable, it was an exhilarating experience nevertheless. Marvin's decision to dress like a mailman was really his only option to approach people that closely throughout the day, and it turned out well. But does anyone think Stefano will be happy to let the past with Raq go now that he has what he wanted? Maybe he will, but the fact that his first inquiry to Unique when he stopped by for that conversation was to find out if Raq was truly out suggests that he doesn't think she can stay out and that he doesn't necessarily want her out. Bravo to Unique for converting adversity into opportunity by being in the wrong place at the right moment to be picked up by Raq and then using it to try to team up with Stefano. Once more, Stefano gives the impression of being a businessman, and despite the rough beginnings between him and Unique, he didn't dismiss the possibility of collaborating. It will be fascinating to observe whether Unique can establish a chance for himself with the Mafia. It will be intriguing to observe how Ronnie fits into all of this as well. Ronnie is being given more time and attention as they integrate him into the bigger picture. He's just a scary figure to Pernessa right now, slurping his porridge, ironing his clothing, and generally making her feel uncomfortable. Right now, the slow build with Ronnie is effective, but they have to be cautious not to let it drag on for too long. Ronnie and Unique are very different from one another, however, their current power disparity prevents a rivalry between them from having much of an effect. Ronnie seems to have no one else in his life than Unique, thus I wish we had more information about him before his time in jail. Yes, he seems intimidating and like someone you shouldn't mess with, but other than that, not much is known about him. They're positioning him to exact revenge on the doorman who treated him disrespectfully, but by keeping him alone, they make it harder for us to view him as a formidable foe because he can't stand up to anyone. Though he also seems very apprehensive of him, Unique seems to want to protect him. This story has a lot of potential, and out of all the strands being braided right now, it might be the most interesting. The fact that we have made it this far through the review without having discussed Malcolm Howard at all is a credit to the show as a whole, and how captivating this hour was. After committing a cold-blooded murder that was covered up as a suicide, Howard put on a really convincing mask and pretended to be Burke's devastated ex-partner to deliver a moving speech at his funeral. For the most part, everything he stated about Burke was true because she was genuinely pursuing justice and establishing her worthiness to wear the shield, which contributed to her losing her life. It's absurd how resistant people are to even entertain the possibility that Burke could be telling the truth. Adina was only permitted to say, "Thank you for meeting with me," by Baptiste before he cut her off entirely. If Adina persists, what will Howard do since he will never be able to kill her? Howard will not be alone in worrying about Adina because a task force is establishing itself in the precinct. Additionally, they have a mole in close proximity to the activity. I'll say it again, task forces are loved by Power series. They were also long overdue, as Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, has been devoid of one. Given his relationships to Raq and Kanan, a task force is undoubtedly bad news for Howard overall. But it also presents an opportunity for him to gather intelligence and could even reroute the operation away from areas he would prefer it to go. We are confident that Howard, like Raq, will take action when necessary. And that action will come because the murder of Baselli will only intensify the FED's investigation and ultimately lead them to Raq. Everyone is working hard, fame. We only need to locate ours. Kanan, we're beginning to see those Kanan skills come through. Elsewhere in this hectic hour, Kanan was searching for the next challenge. He's always had a keen sense of intuition, so when Paul offered him a job as a courier, he considered the wider picture rather than just going for the money. He inquired, obtained data, and then figured out how to use this understanding. Even if adult Kanan Stark is the worst, it's amazing to watch Kanan grow into Kanan. Even though he and Famous are having financial difficulties, Kanan is still planning 5 moves forward. Making a fast money is sometimes necessary, but is it really the best way to position yourself for long-term success? That is, one could say, extremely Raq of him. A marijuana delivery system is a great place for Kanan to start and might actually work. If he's able to do more than just smoke pot, he may rise to prominence in the streets very rapidly. And keep an eye out for what transpires when Kanan grows less dependent on Raq. Their already precarious relationship is already perilously near to breaking point, and Kanan realizing his own potential could be the last straw that keeps them apart forever. Everything additional you should know. Godfather vibes were generated by the scene of Baselli's baptism and the ensuing gunfight. It is not appropriate for Nicole's father to continue watching out for Jukebox to be as lovely as it is. On the surface, giving up music on the jukebox makes sensible because she was beginning to equate it with a lot of misery. However, we didn't witness her second-guessing herself too much before she appeared at Lulu's and seemed to have changed her mind. I'm glad Lulu apologized to Jukebox. It was a necessary move. It's also great to see everyone send her their heartfelt sympathies regarding Kenya. The names Stefano thought of for Unique were all absurd. The best one needed to be widely used. Raq must have more vision than to attempt to purchase Kanan's love. He clearly wants her to be totally open and vulnerable with him. But he also doesn't consider her perspective to be the mature one in this instance. She believes she is defending him. Marvin might do well to start his small side business. He should ideally enlist Demo because they make a fantastic team. Another interesting hour in the book, with a lot to think about as we read on. A quick start can only portend well for the current campaign. Please leave a comment below with your thoughts on the hour. Do not be timid, folks. There is so much to talk about. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching.